but it still exists inside of me.
Well,
your soul is free, hey, but it still exists inside of me. I miss your body. I miss the touch of your hands. I miss who we used to be. But I'm happy your soul is free. I could spend my time being sad, but really, is there any point in that? I can embrace the memories we've had, but I know one thing, I'm glad your soul is free. Your skin was cold in the casket. I tried not to be affected by the loss. But then God came around and said, child, she still exists. Just get a hold of your soul. And the capacity of love that I have can transfer to the future and the past. So I become one with love. I realize that when you shake the shells, that's when you see the dove. I'm glad your soul is free.
yeah.
But it still exists inside of me. I got your energy, your love, and your science. I'm hoping you're looking down and happy at how I apply it. But I'm glad your soul is free. But your love and goodness still exists inside of me. I see a lot of heads on nod, so I know you done experienced loss. But the next time it happens, I want you to say, I know your soul is free. But it still exists inside of me. Say it with me. I know your soul is free, but it still exists inside of me. I love that you guys came to respond in love, death with us tonight. And you know what? It ain't got to be sad. You feel me? This is a celebration. Yes. You have to celebrate these moments. That's what they want from you. They want to feel like they know their soul is free. But this is Mama Nene. She is always free. And this is completely unrehearsed. We are freestyling right now for you. That's what happens when souls are free. Now I know I can't go past the minutes of 3. But you know what? My soul is free. And when I'm gone, I hope I exist inside of thee. Misha, come on up here and glow for him, sister.
Oh my goodness. So you put me off my order, so I have to begin with a thank you. Thank you for blessing us. Thank you for welcoming us into this space. Thank you for speaking love and power and freedom into us tonight. Let's give Medusa and Mama Nene a round of applause. Yes, thank you. Well, hello, beautiful people. Yeah, it's so good to be here tonight with all of you and all of you that are watching online. It is just my great pleasure to welcome all of you to the opening night of the Loss, Life, and Love Festival presented by Reimagine. My name is Misha Brown, and among other things, I have the great pleasure of being the chair of the board for Reimagine. Yeah. Thank you, Mama Nene. And you know, you've heard a little bit from Brad, those of you that were at the reception. It's a beautiful organization, but we're also gathered here with so many other partners and friends, and so thank you all for joining with us in making this such a special experience over the next few days. I also have the pleasure of serving as your MC tonight, so you'll see a lot of me. Hopefully, you know, this voice works for you, because you'll hear it all night. You know, I think we are here today, as Medusa foreshadowed for us, to really dig into, and over the next couple of days, to dig into some hard things. Loss, serious illness, as Mazen said to us a few moments ago, you know, great topics for spending 3 days together at a conference, right? And to add to that, we're also here to think about how those things intersect with other difficult topics: race, equity, privilege. But fortunately, we are also here with so many beautiful people that understand the powerful spaces of spirituality, creativity, art, where we can all gather in community to find places of healing and transcendence, right? So that our souls can be free, so that we can recognize the freedom of the souls that are no longer with us, and so that we can make beauty and good in the world. And that is what we are here to talk about today and for the days following. Yeah. So before I go any further, I think it's so important to acknowledge where we are situated and to really share from our hearts our gratitude and excitement, really, to be situated in community, especially coming out of COVID and everything. Being here together in Leimert Park in a community whose elders have really partnered with us and opened this space so that we can really do some transformational learning together. Because at Reimagine, we really do believe that it is in this community that this work will be made transformative, that it is to be connected, that it's to be a little messy. And that is the work that we are here to do together. And thank all of you for being here and engaging as your full selves in that work. It's so meaningful and powerful. However, while we are situated in the local, we understand that this conversation is global. We are situated in a community that has a unique and powerful experience with loss and with so many textures of grief. And the question that those of us that are guests in this community should be asking ourselves is, what are the lessons that we can learn in this community, with this community in these days, that apply in all of the spaces that all of us that will be going back home somewhere else? What lessons can we take there? And also the entire time that we are here, appreciating and being respectful of the community for sharing those gifts with us. Yeah? Yeah. Let's give that some love. So, with that in mind, I'm so excited to re-invite Mama Nene, who you've already met, but also, yes, to invite Ben Caldwell, who is affectionately referred to as the mayor of Leimert Park. Yes. To come and share with us some initial thoughts on the wisdom and gifts that this community has to offer. So Mama Nene is here, and Ben's going to join us. Yeah.
That's my bruh.
You can't kiss one person on this.
Hey, bruh.
Okay. So, Ben, we're going to share mics. Okay. So, where to begin? So, I actually want to start. Oh.
And in the middle. We're lucky girls right here.
So, okay, so I really want to start, Mama Nene, with this conversation that you and I were having earlier about the value of honoring ancestry and community and the power in that. Why is it important? What does it bring?
She gonna make me cry. That question is so loaded. It's so important for us to, as a people, first of all, that we're restricted from honoring ancestors. We've been through so much trauma, being disconnected from our true selves, that grieving in the African American, I'll just say indigenous people communities, the effect of it is quite different. And sometimes you grieve hard because it's difficult for you to have a light way of it when you had to think about how you were going to get grandma or grandpa or mom or dad's items out of their apartment or their house because the people came in and locked up everything, because you've been struggling trying to take care of them and maybe not even going to your own job because you just decided that you would commit yourself to caring for a parent or a loved one or a friend. And so, when they leave, it's a little storm in that, because you've been conflicted with all these other, not just those things, but all the other things that come compounded with it. So here in Leimert, we try to make it a monthly celebration, because Ben Caldwell had a vision to develop something that we would call Art Walk Sunday, the last Sunday of every month. And so, pardon me, when we come out, that's what we're doing. So if someone in the community, it could be the disenfranchised brother or sister that maybe not even have anywhere to live, from an international musician, we come here and we celebrate that life, that spirit. Energy don't die. Love doesn't die, it's energy. And that's what we're all giving. So when we're on this side, we're trying to reimagine, we're trying to reimagine. So for me and my community, it's important that we try to strike up those remembrance, because in African culture, you're not dying, you're transcending. But because of situations and doctrines being changed, and just the foolery of mankind to enable a people to not be great, to take away greatness. This was one of the first ones, and this thing right here has more medicine in it than any doctor. I'm telling you. So it's important that we see the elders that have come through systematic churches and belief systems that won't allow you to honor and worship your ancestors. So that's why we're here.
Yes.
It took me a long time. I made a trip to Brazil with a group of people, and I got a reading. And all my life, I wondered why I was always connected to the dead, I guess, because I've been doing this work and studying and having a feeling for it. But I found out in my reading that I'm a daughter of Omalu, which is a spirit. He's the guide for the dead. And in that, it's encouraged me to study and understand what we're talking about right now, the trauma of transcending when you don't really have a clear perspective of what it means to leave physically from here. And in that, I found that our ancestors handled it a completely different way. So Ben's given me, this community has given me an opportunity, and I'd like to say shout out to the World Stage because they've been housing me. Ben's been keeping me in the mix, and that's what we've been doing. We've been offering the consciousness of understanding that your loved one has not necessarily left you, but there's something past this right now, and we're all just trying to get levitated and on one level where we understand that this wears out. Every day, I just turned 70 like a week or so ago, and I understand second childhood because I'm so, life is really not funny, but even sorrow sometimes, it kind of makes me chuckle because it doesn't affect me the way it did earlier without the balance and understanding and gathering this wisdom and this energy and knowledge from my culture. So it's important that the community that you all are visiting today, this Leimert Park, for me, that we keep it culture, because this is the only place we have to heal. This is the only gathering spot we have for miles and miles around where black people come and get together. Let something happen in the community. You're going to see a photograph or a clip of everyone in Leimert Park. This is where we gather. That water fountain down there, water has its own power, has its own energy. And we have been blessed with that water fountain and the trees around to get connected with nature and understand that our loved one is now a tree. Our loved one is now a mountain. Whatever they love, they're the sea, they're the bird. And to release that so they can go ahead and be free. So whatever it takes inside of that, remember your ancestors so they can continually support you, be part of your life. Just don't because they left this, they're waiting for you to say their name. Every time we have a ceremony, we invite people to say their ancestors' names all together because they're waiting. I tell people, artists, when there's an empty chair, there's an ancestor sitting right there. There go my mama and my daddy. There go my nana. There goes my son.
So Mama Nene, this really makes me think of a conversation that Ben and I were having earlier about bringing things from history into artistic form, jazz, visual jazz, like using those remembrances as ways to help people interrogate, revisit, and heal.
Yeah, test, test, test. Yeah, the thing that Mama Nene is hitting on is really the most wonderful part of what was going on with this wood, the animal hide, You know, the wood is an ancestor, right?
Yes.
And so that's something we found out.
So is this.
We found out first because they didn't believe that women should stretch the ancestors over a womb. And so the Africans told me that, my African brothers told me that that's the reason that they didn't want a sister to do this. But my answer to that is, guess what? Our sisters had to do a lot more than that on this side from that point on. So a lot of what we had to do, we had to survive in this new land, and that's a new code. And you're talking about a reset. That was our new reset, where we had to leave our aunts. And
I would
uncles.
tell the brothers, if you pass through me, surely I can play this drum.
And those were such real stuff. Doing this with my sister for these last 13, 14 years on a monthly basis. Doing what we started with Dr. Sabi. I don't know if you know him, but
Ancestor?
ancestor, and he and I had a kind of a retreat in Puerto Rico before I came back to Los Angeles. I had been in Los Angeles doing this discovery that I was telling her about with my ethnographic head. So it made me start looking at what is the most signature thing that we've brought through from our country of abandonment that we were pulled away from, and we couldn't swim back. So I started looking at the generational music of my aunt who was in Peru, and my father that was dropped in Brazil, and my mother that was dropped in Puerto Rico, and my sister who was dropped in Cuba, and my other brother in Mexico, and other extensions of my family in St. Louis, and all the way up to New York. That's how spread my family has been since we left that land that we were dragged from to come here in this work camp called America. It's a work camp, and I don't call my people slaves. They came here and they worked, and they made us strong. So within that, if you really look at the theory and the dropping of that through the music, that was our only griot. That was our only storyteller. And look how it showed itself up in Brazil with the samba in the 60s. You know, it showed itself with his rumba in Cuba, Puerto Rico, salsa, all those different kinds of movements. And then within us, it was the last poets and jazz and blues, and all those things were signatures of our story. And the story that I just said, blues, that's a name that was given by the outsiders of what our sorrow looked like. But we were in Eden. We were in a dream place, dreaming about the home that we couldn't swim back to. And that elixir is the thing that has passed throughout the world and healed the world, and you can see it penetrate. I went to Morocco, where people didn't even heard Michael Jackson coming from a little record, a little player transistor record. You can go to Africa and they're playing it with their little flip cell phones with the makeshift radios. They're listening to our music. So it's that much of a healing force, and that's the reason this drum was kept from us. So when we started the art walk, it was really about saving this instrument. Because we had gotten so confused that we thought it was too loud and that it penetrated our walls and it bothered you at night, And so we've gotten that lost, that we lost our feeling of what this healing object does, and I'm over.
Right. So, yeah, give it up. Give it up for Ben. Yes. I just have to say that you need to find these two people. I'm volunteering y'all for the rest of the weekend. You need to find them and you need to talk to them. There's just so much depth and wisdom and love and vision in both of you. And I just want to thank you for sharing a little bit of that with us.
No, thank
I
you guys.
just would like to ask everybody, just do a little research on Leimert Park, the dynamic people that have supported this community. I'm telling you, that's why we're here. We want to keep their names alive too, because as everything moves in so swiftly, you don't hear Fifth Street Dick, you don't hear Miss Laura. So if you just check out Leimert Park and go back a little bit, you'll see some of the concerts, some of the banana shows, and you see these dynamic artists that open up the door for really us to be here today. Really, because they insisted on bringing cultural art, rhythm, word, and action to this community. So I say Fifth Street Dick, I say Billy Higgins, I say Lady Walker, all of these people, we could go on and on. That's what we're here. And that's what Leimert Park is. They made it possible. So there's an African proverb that says that you're standing on the shoulders. We are standing on shoulders. It's our responsibility to make sure that the next generation understands what their charge is. Because if you don't speak up for them, who will?
And to add to that name is this wonderful ladies whose temple we're in, Miss Barbara Morrison.
Miss Barbara.
Yeah, it's true. We've really given up a lot we've given the most important thing that I was just told recently that I hadn't thought of, which is time, to this neighborhood so we could make sure that it makes it through this hard time. And with that, I wanted to shout out Medusa, because Medusa really was our first MC for this group that you'll discover Ava DuVernay came out of, which is a part of it, and Medusa was the MC for the first night for Project Blood. And she's been with me to Cuba, where we were able to really hone in on skills and stuff like that. So I want to really...
Yeah, much love, much love. Thank you, Ben.
right,
Thank you, Mama
guys.
Nene. The mayor and the mama. Let's give them a round of applause. Yeah. So we're going to move it along, and I am going to turn it over to two of my board colleagues at Reimagine, Corey and Leon. The lights are blinding, and I cannot see you. Where? There they are. Let's give a round of applause for Corey and Leon. Oh, I thought you were coming up together. Okay.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight. It's important that we give some more love to Mama Nene and also to the mayor, Brother Caldwell. I want to say this as my time is brief, but I just want to share with you as Brother Leon comes up as well. The reason why this is important for us tonight is because we are in a position to, I believe, make a difference, those who are in the room. There's a story of a person who was opening a strip mall, and there were 3 particular stores in this particular strip mall. And this individual had a person come up to him and wanting to lease one of the spaces. And as he was walking up to him, he said to him, "I'd like to lease the space on the left." And the gentleman said, "Okay." And he said, "Well, what do you do? Because a sign comes with your, watch this, a sign comes with your lease." And he said to him, "Well, I sell men's clothing." And he said, "Well, what do you want your sign to say?" And he thought about it and he said, "Let's just make it simple. just have the sign to say men's clothing. And so a second gentleman comes up to him and he sees the space on the right, the far right, and that's the space that he wants. And so the owner once again says, well, a sign comes with your lease. He said, what would you like your sign to say? He said, he looked at the sign on the far left and it said men's clothing. He said, let's just keep it simple like that. Have my sign to say men's clothing as well. Then the third gentleman comes up and he has to take the space in the middle. And so he said to that gentleman, he said, please tell me you do not sell men's clothing. He said, as a matter of fact, I do. I sell men's clothing. And he said, okay, well, what do you want your sign to say? And so the gentleman looked at the sign on the left that said men's clothing, looked at the sign on the right that said men's clothing, and he said, let's just keep it real simple and have my sign to say entrance. The reason why I tell you that story is this, and I want to make the connection to healthcare. Some of you will get it next week when you think about it a little bit harder. But I want to make that connection with healthcare because here's the key. Here's the key. Signs have been up that have been comfortable for people to put up, but those signs have kept other people out. There are signs in healthcare that say that you're not welcomed here. It may not say it on the outside, but when you get inside, you feel that you may not be welcomed. There are people in this community who have suffered far too long because of the current signs that are up, and we need some innovative people to step up and say it's time for us to put new signs up. Now, that entrance sign had everything to do with welcoming everybody into that space, and we need some new signs that are put up that say that you are welcome regardless of who you are, where you come from. You're free to celebrate, you're free to worship, you're free to love, and you're free to be who you are. And with those signs being up, we're going to have a community that I believe will become stronger. That strong community that Mother Nene talked about, that strong community that the Mayor Caldwell talked about, that strong community that Misha wants and Brad wants and all of us and Leon at Reimagine. We all want that stronger community, and that's why we purposefully wanted to come here to this space, because it's time for a new sign. Look at somebody and say, it's time for a new sign. It's time for a new sign. It's time for a sign that's more welcoming. It's time for a sign. Now, signs can serve as gateways, and I'm almost done because I got to turn it over to Leon because he's ready, y'all. I got to give it to him. So when we talk about gateways, this festival will serve as a gateway. What do we mean by that? Well, gates are up to keep other people out and to keep certain people in, to have people to feel safe. That's why gates, but when you have a gateway, you have to remember that that gateway can be opened. And when that gateway is opened, it allows for everybody to have the benefits of what the people inside the gate were benefiting from all along. Everybody wants to feel safe. Everybody wants to feel secure. Everybody wants to feel like they belong. And so we are here this weekend to create that gateway, to open up that pathway, to show people who've been left out, people who look like me, to show people who've been left out, people who live in this community, to show them that there's a gateway that we are going to open up that will never be closed again. And all of us will be able to benefit from the things that just a segment of the population has been benefiting from. And so we are proud to be here with you this weekend, and we will be with you to work through this together. And so I'm proud to be a Reimagine board member working with all the great people at Reimagine. And we are going to put up a sign that says, when we talk about life, loss, and love, those signs will be present, and people will be able to grieve like they need to grieve, and love like they need to love, and live like they want to live. That's my piece, and I'm going to turn it over to my brother.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate it. Thank you all for having me.
going to share a little bit about loss, life, and love. But before I go into the story I want to share, I would love to do an affirmation with you all. Is that all right? All right, so if I can have y'all repeat after me and just say it like you mean it. Let it settle in your spirit and feel it, all right? We must give up to go up. We must give up to grow up. We must give up on the way up. And give up even more to stay up. I cannot teach what I do not know. I cannot lead where I will not go. I am because we are. And we are because I am. I am my brother's keeper. I am my sister's keeper. And I am destined for greatness because I attract what I am. In the African language, we say Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Thank you. So one of the greatest loss that I experienced in my life was my little sister. And I lost her when I was 13 years old. She was 10 years old, and she was actually hit by a truck. And that devastated me, it devastated my family, and it was the first time that I really realized that, man, I can die. You know, if my baby sister could do it, I know, like, death isn't reserved for older people. A few years later, when I was 19 years old, I was shot 5 times by a Pittsburgh police officer in the case of mistaken identity, where I had lost my ability to walk. And I remember, you know, as I laid on the ground and these officers handcuffed me after they shot me, I remember thinking about my sister. And I now know that I was calling on her as an ancestor. And that loss, and those losses really made me appreciate life. Because that night I laid on the ground and I called on my sister. I begged her and for God to let me live, because I knew my parents couldn't take losing another child. And so, you know, as I, woke up in the hospital and I had another chance at life, I began to love life more. I began to think about legacy. You know, I began to appreciate this physical mortality, and I knew that, wow, my days in this physical body, that it's taken away. So what do I want to do with that time, right? Do I want to be angry at these police officers destroying my quality of life, right? A lot of times I get applaud for forgiveness. I talk a lot about forgiveness. And people say, yeah, I don't know how you did it. I don't know how. And, I always say to them, can you imagine the quality of my life if every time I saw a police car, I was triggered? I remember I have a son. He's 9 years old. He was actually born in the same hospital where I was recovering. So I was on the 7th floor, and he was born on the 4th floor. And I remember when he started walking, I was so angry at these police officers because I could only think about the loss of my legs. So I couldn't even appreciate, as a father, my son taking his first steps. And so I made a conscious decision. I said, I gotta choose love, right? I gotta choose love, because this hatred, this anger, this frustration, it was taking control over my life. And, the thing I learned is that like, you can't skip over the pain, right? You have to acknowledge the pain, and I had to acknowledge the pain. I had to create space for, all of those emotions, right? Because my soul was crying out, my body was crying out, emotionally and mentally, I was hurting. So I had to create space and honor the anger, the frustration, the confusion, the grief, the guilt, right? And I did that, right? And I did those things through writing, through music, right? Through many forms of self-expression. And then I had to work through those triggers, right? I had to figure out what are those things triggering me and why, right? So I had a conversation with my brother here earlier, and I told him I don't watch police videos, right? Videos of police harming folks in community, because that's a trigger for me. In order for me to focus on love, I have to feed myself love. I have to consume love. I know that I'm very aware of the many forms of oppression in our world, right? And so I equip myself to fight that oppression with love, right? And so we're here this week, to dive deeper into the loss, right, to the life and love. And I know that each and every last one of us in here experienced some type of loss, right? And we have a lot of life to live. So we have to be very intentional of how we live life, right? And from my lived experience, the best way to live life is living with love. So thank you.
So, I don't even know what to say. Yeah. So, okay. This is really a big moment, right? Because it is this idea that we really want to thread through our time together. That it is by, Leon said it perfectly, it's not about skipping over the pain. It's about fully embracing, facing, owning up to like all of the uncomfortable things, the pain, the fear, the trauma, but then figuring out how to transcend, right? And really at Reimagine, we think a big part of that is through community, right? That's why we're all here together, right? Like this is not a journey that anybody is walking alone. So now we are going to hear from two powerful, beautiful, amazing women that I also cannot see now because the lights are in my eyes. Cynthia, I think maybe you're waiting to come up in the wings. Yes, come on, it's your moment. And your daughter, who are going to talk about community of care, right? And their own powerful journey that I will let them talk about better than I ever could. So please welcome.
Thank you. Do we want to stand or sit? There we go. How's everybody? What an amazing venue. Thank you for your heartfelt rendition, Medusa, and all of you that have just shared from your heart and your soul. We feel what you're sharing, and it means so much. So thank you. Could we just give them another round of applause? This is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Looks like we're working on Jasmine's mic, and I can share mine with you if you're good. There it is. There we, hi. Hi. All right, so let me introduce myself, and my daughter can introduce herself. I am Cynthia Carter-Perelliot. I am co-founder and executive director of an organization called the AC Care Alliance. Thank you.
Look at y'all
Thank
knowing
you.
AC Care Alliance. Y'all don't know, you're about to know. It's all good. It's all good.
And as you probably know, as a result of our illustrious board chair's introduction, we are mother and daughter.
Yes, that's my mom.
And it's always amazing to be in a space with someone that really knows you. that has walked with you, that has cried with you, that has lived life with you, knows the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it's such a joy as a mom to be here with my daughter in this sacred space. And I do consider this a sacred space because it is, because we're all here with wonderful intentionality. We want to share in this incredible moment all that we all believe as it relates to loss, life, and love. So our charge tonight is to talk about what is a caring community? What does it look like? What does it mean for us as individuals? And we're just going to, as we've seen earlier, just freestyle it. Because we really want you to hear our truth. And we believe that and hope that it will connect with each of you. So Jasmine, would you like to take time to introduce yourself?
Sure, I can quickly. So, good evening, everyone. My name is Jasmine Hill. I am an assistant professor of public policy and sociology at UCLA. And what that really means is that with my students, I get to sit down and say, let's imagine the world that we want to create. What I was thinking about as we were talking earlier is that an AC Care Alliance serves people who are experiencing loss or going through the process, because many times loss can be a long process. Indeed. And so AC Care Alliance walks with persons needing care and their caregivers on how do we do this day to day as we are managing care. So with my students, we spend a lot of time imagining the ideal world we want to create. You want to sit? I want to sit, right? Like, yeah, let's do it.
Yes, thank you. Feels better.
And so part of what we're here to do is imagine what does a community of care look like. So if I could start by asking you a
Please
question.
do. Yes.
And as we're asking these questions, I want you all to be thinking about these things also. I want to just start off by asking, so for you, how do you define a community of care? And what would you say we have now?
Definition of community of care. For me, honestly, I have to go back to absolutely my earliest beginnings. And for me, that's my family. I've been very fortunate and blessed to have parents that truly loved their children. I'm one of 5. And so for me, a community of care started out with mom and dad and visiting aunts and uncles across the country, people that I knew first and foremost I could trust. The word trust is an amazing word because it's something that as human beings, we all need to have a sense that we can be connected with people in a safe space, in a sacred space where we can know that we're seen and we're heard. And so for me, when I think of a community of care, I think about the incredible, safe space that both my dad and mom gave to us as children. I'm one of 5 siblings. But I also think about my connection with community. My dad was the Boy Scout leader. My 3 older brothers had the opportunity to watch Dad as a leader in the community. My mother was the chairman of the PTA in our elementary school. So having not only that family connection, but then connecting and being connected through community, through our schools, through our church. For us, it's very important to honor the holistic nature of human beings, mind, body, and spirit. Mm-hmm. Some would say soul. It's all good. Mm-hmm. The idea is that there's more to me than you can see. Mm-hmm. Why don't we ponder that for a minute? Mm-hmm. There's more to you than physically meets the eye. But isn't that what a community of care is all about? Mm-hmm. It's knowing that you're not going to judge me because of the color of my skin. Mm-hmm. You're not going to judge me because you don't like my shoes, or you do like my shoes. Thank you. I appreciate that, Ira. You're not going to judge me when I go into a health system that is predominantly Caucasian and I come in with my African American family and we're dealing with my dad's health challenge and we circle around his bed and pray a prayer of faith because that's who we are. Can you see me? Will you allow yourself to see me? And what does that mean? And I think we all should be challenged by that question. There's more to us than meets the eye. Can you see me? Can you hear me? So Jasmine, for me, that community represents the family. It represents the broader sphere of individuals that my trusted parents introduced me to, that they led as examples so I could see, I too could learn to trust. Trust people that didn't look like me and not judge them because we were different. There's more to say, but that's, for me, where the community of care begins. And I am very fortunate, and I feel fortunate that that still remains a mantra for me, and the work that we do in the AC Care Alliance, which I'm excited that we'll soon be opening a hub here in Los Angeles,
Come on now. Come on.
California.
That's right.
So excited about that. Yes, and that's because we've listened to leaders here in Los Angeles, and we listened to what they said the needs were. And we're simply walking alongside and partnering with them with the curriculum and the intervention that has been proven in Northern California, but we're clearly understanding that this must be led by this community. And that, too, in my mind, shows care and compassion.
Absolutely.
So, Jasmine, how would you describe a caring community?
Well, I like how you leaned on trust. Another one, I'm going to maybe stir the pot. Accountability. We have a responsibility to one another. And a true community is one where we all recognize we each play a part. And when I get out of line, you raised me in an environment where, you talked about your 5 siblings, where my aunts and uncles could pull me to the side and say, you're out of line. And that accountability was a part of the culture, so that when we mess up, when we get it wrong, when we are far from that trusting, beautiful community that we all want to see, that we can be honest and open about it. And be receptive to those ideas. A community of care is one where there is trust, is one where there's accountability, is one where we can see one another, is one where we don't look away.
What do you mean by that?
Where we don't look away, look. We're in Los Angeles, which is the center of one of the largest crises of unhoused people on the globe. And one of the fascinating problems is in Los Angeles, there are people who are actively every day advocating for the rights of unhoused people, and there are many of us who decide to just look away, to decide we're gonna live on the west. I live in LA. We're gonna live on the west side. That's not our problem. We're just gonna look away. And so a part of a community care, of care is one that says, I see you and I won't look away. I won't look away. I see what's going on.
I see you.
Yes, and I want to make sure you have your needs met, just in the same way if I'm experiencing my needs getting met. That means I have a responsibility that we all are fed at this table. So I think those are some of the pillars. And I think that these kinds of spaces where we're reimagining what the world, what our communities, what healthcare, what all of these systems would have to look like, those, sort of have to be at the cornerstone of these things. Talk to us a little bit about how the AC Care Alliance, how are you all building a community care? Soon to come here in LA, but how are you building a community care in the Bay Area? How have you done it?
So we have, first and foremost, recognized that it's important to see and hear from the community. When we talk about caring for people of color, for example, blacks and browns in our communities, it's important, again, to hear them, hear their voices, not what we think and try to prescribe upon them, but to listen, to hear, and to see them. So that's the first tenet in terms of building a trusting relationship, that we take the time, we call it in the scientific world, right, a needs assessment, right? But the bottom line is it's simply raising the question and giving people an opportunity to be heard and to be seen. And so what we're doing is we are hiring, training people that look like the community. So community care navigators. They don't have to have a professional background, although many do. Some are retired nurses and social workers, but many are people that have been caregivers for their loved ones, but they understand, even feel a calling to respond to the needs of their community. So the care navigators are African Americans. They're Latinx, and they serve the people in the community that are dealing with serious illnesses, advanced illnesses, and end-of-life issues. And so we then partner with the health systems and the health plans. It's important that we connect with the true leaders in those communities, the health systems and health plans that truly care. So I know there's much to say. We can talk on this subject for a long time, but our time is up. But please know, it's important that each and every one of you understand that in the work that we do, we're all about helping people to know, I see you, I hear you, and I'm going to follow your person-centered plan and not my own.
That's right.
Thank you,
Thank
Jasmine.
you.
And thank you all.
Just before I bring up Ira, who I will introduce here in just a second, who's my brother from another mother. But I want to bring back to the stage my sister from another mister, Medusa, who's going to come back to the stage one more time and share something special. Yeah, right now. All right. Let's hear it from for our sister.
Well, right now. That's the truth, right now. Whose wallet is this? That yours? I'm like you. Hey. I like a good mic stand. You feel me?
Let's count up the mic man.
And the sound man.
Testing, testing.
He's
Fire,
got this
fire,
little
fire.
room right.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. We okay?
Boom, gong, dong, dong, gong, gong, dong, boom, gong, dong, dong, boom, gong, dong, boom, gong, dong, dong, boom, gong, dong, boom, gong, dong, dong, boom, gong, dong. Hey, the boom, dong, boom, gong, dong, boom, gong, dong, dong, boom, gong, dong, boom, gong, dong, dong, boom, gong, dong, boom, gong, dong, dong, boom, gong, dong. Hey, boom, gong, boom, boom, gong, dong, boom, gong, dong, dong, boom, gong, dong, boom, gong, dong, dong, boom, gong, dong, boom, gong, dong, dong, boom, gong, dong. Hey, boom, gong, boom, boom, gong, dong, boom, gong, dong, dong, boom, gong, dong. Hey, I love you. I respect you. Hey, I can't do nothing without you if I don't see you or feel you. Hey, 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 we gotta go somewhere to grow somewhere. Hey, we gotta know what we talking before we share. Hey, hey, you gotta choose one. Hey, you gotta, hey, or. You got the mask on, you can be hidden, you can do hey. You ready? Where you at? Come on. Don't you stop it or I can't do my thing. Thank you for coming and representing a real community. Hey! Our ancestors are here. They exist in the drum and the skin. And if you revere it, there's love and understanding. More than anger, you have to choose love. Look above and say. So when we all are here, we are the same light. I see you. I hear you more than just tonight. You better feel yourself. Whether you're dressed appropriately or not, I'm going to recognize you as being Salat. Yes, you are a prayer. You are queens and kings. You are the divinity of how we belong to this earth's sake. If you don't say hey, then you ain't a part of it. This is the Leimert Park Ark. I see you, everybody. Hey, come on. When there's love and energy, that's what you're going to choose. And healing our community is full of the right words. It's full of the transitions. It's full of the commitment. Now how we living? I don't care about your property. I care about your inner glow. I care because the doctors told you to be more healthy and mental. What happened to my hey? Okay, stay on rhythm. That's what I'm giving you. There we go. Every time you see a sign that don't belong to you, you ain't got to have it. Hot damn it, it's not for you. It's for the ones that are inside. And wait a minute. There's a key for you. We ain't keeping you outside. This is a divine intervention. We tired of living in tension. We want the attention and the love to say, recognize me. This is love, no dividing. We are representing the ancestors and we're all colliding with a hey. See, Mama Nene, she's got that rhythm and the daily monumental strides that keep me awakened. Having you shake your soul and make sure it's awakened and say,
I see you following me. That means you have the internal leads of a legacy to say, yeah, this is more than just us. It's more than our community. This is divine and divinity. Yes, baby. The ones that say, hey, are in the rhythm. The ones that don't are full of love and the listen. See, this art walk called Lamert Park is the ark. We take more than 2 to 2. We take a whole room of people that are truly in it to push us through. Hey! The next level of love and reciting. And with that last hey, give it up to Mama Nene.
In the community, we call the griot, or the person that speaks that knowledge or that wisdom, the griot. Give a hand to the griot. Medusa! Medusa!
Ha! I'm so glad we're here tonight. Let me hear y'all say it.
Everything must change.
It will. It will. It will change. Keep the rhythm alive. Thank you.
Let me say this. Let me say this. I'm glad I'm not Ira Byock right now. Sound like they're saying, "Boo-ba-ba-ba-dum, Byock, boo-ba-ba-ba-dum, Byock, boo-ba-ba-ba-dum, Byock." Listen, I want to, you know what? I'm not going to just, belabor the moment and just read the great accomplishments of this man who I call my dear brother. He is my dear brother, and I want to say that it's important that we hear from him tonight as we prepare to get our marching orders to move forth. And Ira is just a jewel who has been doing such a loving work for individuals in the community in hospice and palliative care since 1978, y'all. 1978. Some of y'all wasn't even born then, right? Hey! So I'm going to let Ira do his thing. But I want to say this. He has been such an inspiration to me in healthcare. And I've read so much of his stuff. I've had the honor of sharing the stage with him to just share information and knowledge. And truly, he is a friend of this community and many communities around the world. So let's give it up for this dear, great brother of ours, Ira Byock.
Thank you very much, Gar. Holy cow. Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here. It is such an honor to be here with Corey and my friend Cynthia and Jasmine and Brad, and it's also a bit awkward. Some of you may already have noticed that I am not a black person. I am not. That's a Jew-fro. I am not African American. I am not part of the black community. I'm not part of this remarkable Landmark Park community, though I feel welcome. I am a 71-year-old white Jewish guy. I'm a physician who, as Corey mentioned, since the very beginning of my career, have been striving to make it safe for people to be seriously ill in the American healthcare system, for them and their families to be well supported and cared for. And in addition to the clinical work I've done as a family doc for early on and in emergency medicine, including a little bit of time in downtown Los Angeles, and in home hospice programs and in hospitals, I've done it all. I've succeeded. I've done research. I was named a full professor at an Ivy League medical school. Until I retired 3 weeks ago, was for the better part of the last decade a senior executive in the Providence Health System. But in my goal to make it safe to be seriously ill, to get good care in America's hospitals and their healthcare systems, I have clearly failed. It's still a dangerous place to be ill. It's a particularly dangerous place to be ill if you're black. So while I cannot speak in any formal way for the American healthcare system, let me use my voice to apologize, because I am truly sorry for the indignities, the disparities that are laden upon this community, the black community. I am sorry, so sorry. It's wrong, and it's inexcusable, and it's still going on today. I read this morning of a research study that was just released yesterday by Blue Cross Blue Shield that shows that even now, black women get worse care during pregnancy and childbirth, regardless of their insurance, by the way. That's something wrong. Although I've not succeeded in transforming healthcare, I have not lost my outrage, and I am not given up. I'm attending this festival first and foremost to listen, to learn from you all. I already overstand more from Mama Nene, thank you very much, than I have before now. I want to share with you, because I am a professor, I want to share with you that a little bit of what I know. I know that while I am not a member of this community, we have so much in common. We have more in common than we are different. Like you, I stand here aware that 10,000 ancestors dreamed of me. I began life as someone's child. I am the son of Ruth and Seymour Byock. I am a grandson of Annie and Mike Byock, and Leah and Harry Grubstein. It's important that I speak their names. My parents and grandparents have all died years ago, but they're important to me. I'm connected to them. I am of them. I am the brother of my sister Molly, who's here today, and the husband of my wife Yvonne. The father of Leela and Satya, the grandfather of Philo and Winslow. These are the people who matter to me, matter most to me. Most of us feel that way about our families. For me, what I've learned over the years as a physician, caring for people through the last months and weeks and days of their lives, but also as a sentient being in this world, is that for me the word family is more of a verb than a noun. So is the word community. While those words have the substance of nouns, they are tangible, of course, but they are so much more about mutuality, about our interactions, our feelings toward one another, about mattering to one another, about sharing something in common, sharing important parts of life, sharing a sense of place often, a heritage, sharing tastes in food, music, things that are familiar, a sense of belonging. Before there were professions, before there were doctors and nurses and priests and ministers, rabbis and imams, human beings were looking out for one another. Earliest human beings lived in tribes and rudimentary communities. Communal bonds were most evident in times of natural disasters, floods, fires, earthquakes, hurricanes. When natural disaster strikes, people now turn to one another to weather the storms. Primitive people understood instinctively. They knew that the safest way to get through the disaster was together. Looking out for one another. It felt unnatural to do otherwise. It felt natural and right to look after one another. Folks, death is the natural disaster that awaits us all. It's dangerous. It's hard. And the best way I've learned to respond to the fact of our mortality, to the fact that we will one day lose all of us, all who mattered, they will become ancestors. The best way to respond is together, lovingly, but also fiercely when we need to, advocating for ourselves, advocating for one another with as much sophistication, knowledge, and expertise as we can. I mean advocacy. It means making sure that people are getting the best care, asking questions, making sure you understand what the doctors are saying, questioning their recommendations, getting second opinions or third opinions or fourth opinions when you need them. I want to reflect on what it means to live in community with one another rather than merely in proximity to one another. In a healthy human family, in a healthy human community, my well-being matters to you and your well-being matters to me. I cannot be entirely well if you are in pain, if you are suffering. And while I can do everything I can to alleviate your discomforts and distress, it's not just because it's the right thing to do, it is, but it's also for my own well-being, because we're connected. In caring for one another, communities have responsibilities. Jasmine said that. We also have response-abilities. The responsibilities are basic. There are obligations to shelter people from the elements, to make sure they have food and clothing, to help them with bodily functions when they can't help themselves, with their bowels and their bladder, to make sure they're getting the best medical care possible in a flawed health system. That starts with the best diagnostic tests, the best treatments. Making sure that what we do as healthcare providers is consistent with what people want. Because people are individuals. One size does not fit all. What's right for one person might be entirely wrong for another. You can't look at some algorithm and get it right. It involves paying attention not just to people's diagnosis, but to how they feel, their comfort, their physical and bodily comfort, but also their emotional well-being, their spiritual well-being. Honoring their inherent dignity, ensuring that they feel wanted, worthy, and dignified through the very, very end of their life. Responsibilities going beyond the basics includes delivering people from anonymity, being with them, showing up, listening, helping them feel fully heard, feeling fully understood, accompanying people through the most difficult times of life, bearing witness to their pains and their sorrows, but also to their accomplishments, allowing every person an opportunity to say things that would be left unsaid between them and the people they love. The please forgive me's, I forgive you's, thank you's, I love you's. Preserving people's abilities to feel loved, to love others, to express those loves, and at least occasionally to experience some joy. Pampering people is entirely appropriate. Honoring and celebrating people in our lives and in our relationships. It is time to reimagine what the rest of life looks like, this life, for ourselves and the people we love. It is time to take back this difficult time of life, to make it our own, consistent with our culture. It's time that we begin to be engaged again as a community to accomplish what is possible. So I'll add my thanks for all of you for being here. And let me say as I close, hey!
So, no, I was not fired as MC, but Corey and I have a love affair that we've all been let in on. So I was asked to step aside for that, which I did gracefully. So now we are going to move into the art of healing. Yasmin, where are you? Come on. Come on. Yes, give it up for Yasmin, y'all.
Peace, peace. How are you guys doing? How are you doing? Okay, that's cool. I'm gonna share some poems about about my experiences. I lost my dad at the end of 2020 and my mom like 2 weeks ago, both to cancer. So we're having a great time, right, guys? Anyway, I'm a poet and a comedian, and I have some poems. Is that all right? Thank you. I'm still celebrating. They're free, right? And they're here, so it is all good. Well, you know, thank you. We find our rhythm. 6 hands in tandem, tucking, folding, wiping the day clean. Tina turns and applies the cream. Jade rubs her head. I lotion her shins and feet. We bathe her and get her ready, tucked softly into bed, surrounded by love and abundance. She starts to slumber. It is an honor to care for my mother, tender like all the love she poured into us. I stroke her head until she falls asleep, whisper affirmations across the crown of her head. It is easy for you to breathe. You are a miracle. You are powerful. You get to say when. And that time is not now. Praise God, hallelujah. Nights like these give me hope. Bring me visions of her leaving, walking out of Kaiser, never to look back again. We take her to quality care. Treat the cancer outpatient, beat it back until we've hit every item on the bucket list. Tahiti and Miss Emily's in the Bahamas, red carpets and Emmys. She went out there and is directing these shows. We are a family and playing bid whist till the wee hours of the morning. Remembering a morning we almost lost her, but didn't. She is here. She is here. Praise God. She is a miracle. Not so funny. Sorry. I mean, there have been some really funny moments through the process of caring for both of my parents. The random things that happened, me like roller skating around UCLA looking for my dad when he ran away from the hospital. Literally, like, so ridiculous. Do any of you relate to some of those moments? Anyway, a snapshot from that time. This is October 6, 2020. Drove past the bookstore Dad used to always take us to. Some days we'd come into Isa Wan and sit. He'd read the magazines. Jade and I would peruse fantasy. We couldn't always afford the books, but we'd sit around them fresh and new, right across the street from Cousin Ramesses' long-gone art shop. Not too far from Magic Johnson's, the movie theater he made us sneak Taco Bell in our hoods into. Right down the way from Aunt Kizzy's kitchen, we'd go sometimes on Sundays after church. I have just finished purchasing the weight gain shake he requested from Simply Wholesome. Though he isn't eating much these days, a bite of watermelon here, a nibble of oatmeal there, sipping tomato soup from a straw. Yesterday, I broke down in the street crying. Saw my father's eyes bulge with the promise of death, choking on his own spit. I saw a viscous spit bubble exit his mouth, pulled it away, said, "I'm with you, Dad. Stay with us. I'm right here." The irony of the universe knowing how much I love bubbles. He called me last night at 3:15 a.m., whispered, "Yasmin, I need you. This is Dad." I'm crying now in this parking spot, missing him already, and he's still sort of here. But not like I knew him, nor will we ever return. And what a sad sorrow, this liminal in-between. And what a rejoice. I'm sitting here knowing I gotta be grateful for the time I have left, and even taking this hour to talk to my therapist and get food is time away from him if he wakes up. I gotta go back. Tired that I am, because I really don't want to miss anything, don't want him to die alone without love by his side. He always looks so scared. But for a moment, though, yesterday, he really looked at peace. And though he almost died, he took a nap on a soft bed without rails, not the hospital bed he loathes so much. And he woke from his nap and wanted a pedicure in a pandemic. And 14 calls later and a booking on an app, Patty came by and he got the very thing he desired: a massage, human touch, kindness and care. And it felt great to gift my father this small and tender mercy. And I'm blowing my nose and wiping these tears, taking a deep breath before starting the car, going back to his place to sit vigil with him in love and remembrance of all the ways he showed up for me. Holding on to the time we have left, because who among us isn't walking around with grief brimming at the back of our teeth, waiting to pry its way out of our mouths in casual conversations, silent sobs and spills and moments, songs in passing, each one sound like KJLH on a Saturday afternoon, listening to Find Your Way Back. In the car, I burst into a flood of tears. Beyonce sings about her father, says, "Find your way back," as I get on the 90 and head down Slauson. Frank croons about Ladera, and I leave a flood of ocean in my wake. Honestly, I feel like I'm drowning sometimes. And grief is a giant tsunami headed my way. I am standing on the shore with an umbrella. Perhaps this is the best time to say I'm also doing a comedy show as a part of this festival. It's Saturday night at 7 p.m. There's going to be a really great DJ, Tyler Boudreau, some comedians who I love, and improv as they respond to sets about grief and loss. I have 2 more brief poems and I'll be done. I hear someone sniffling, thank you. Oh, I love you. I love you, Medusa. You already know. We have history. Yeah, you already know. One of the parts of this process, and I think I'm still in it, guys, TBH, but one of the parts is anger at cancer, at palliative, no shade, Ira. Sometimes y'all suck. I'm so sorry. But also, sometimes y'all are dope, and thank you. But there were just things that happened. My mom, them not hooking the rail up and my mom falling out of her hospital bed, them hooking her up to an empty oxygen tank when she was going to the bed, to the bathroom, them refusing to check for cancer even 6 months prior to her stage 4 diagnosis. Fighting the bioethics committee to ask them to treat her cancer because they were just gonna let her go. The hospital calling the police on my father when he ran away. Adult protective services being linked to the police. Things that really make you mad. And you spoke about it earlier, I don't know where you are, the idea of trying to not get triggered. I organize also with Black Lives Matter Los Angeles to end state-sanctioned violence against our people and to reinvest and reimagine a community where our community has access to resources that we need in this process, right? A lot of things that make me hot, even things that are oh, we're gonna do a breathing exercise. Fuck your breathing exercise. My mom can't breathe. Anyway, a poem I wrote about the anger to go somewhere with it. I am beginning to know myself, stretching my insides like a lover. I am taking this moment to turn that energy inward, making the unknown visible, conspicuous new beginnings for such wild imaginings. Have we really been at this hospital for 56 days, excavating the parts I have tried to hide, shove down, push away? I pray I am more solar flare than explosion, more firework than catastrophe. I cannot allow myself to be anything less than luminescence. I refuse to burn my loves around me. Refuse to prickly poke and punch a fistful of cacti and broken glass. I refuse to shatter. Would rather proclaim the names out loud: Grandpa, Grandma, Uncle Bobby, Dad, a name I refuse to add to that list just yet, and yet a full-throated reverence cries, Diane Bartlow. Tentacles of connection shared and stretched octopus high to the heavens, hailstorms of praise return and rain down. I'm proud of you, remembering love is everlasting. Love is everlasting. I write my way up. I pull me out of the mud because I refuse to get stuck. Okay, last poem, no more sad songs. Actually, it's a whole weekend of sad songs, so buckle up, guys. Lego. This is for what I would not do without my community. My friends who called me, who sent me a text, who showed up at the hospital and pretended to be my cousin to get in the room to sit with my mom. My loved ones who hugged me, who sent me flowers, who listened, who held me in the times that I needed them the most. a poem for my girls on a Saturday night. Tonight, the women gathered along the river, dedicated to care for one another, learning together in the present, theorizing a past provided by our elders, building a future full of affirmations. We are rising. Tonight, the Black women gathered to speak about the times, to navigate our way through and across trauma, and even still, we make light, find joy, even at the bottom of an endless stream. Tears flow and water gardens and still come. With the new moon and the love of our ancestors, we are rising. Been doing this God work since before we knew how to put a name to the pain. We unpack a sorrow all too familiar, carrying all this baggage. We let go. The weight a little easier to hold with all these brown hands, letting go, holding up, trusting each other whole, braiding, combing, oiling, love to locks and froze, tenderness at the root. There is tenderness in these roots, and somehow we find a way to laugh and laugh and laugh. And joy is an old friend come over with a bottle of wine and her stash of curly pudding and that new playlist chock full of Erica, Lauren, Jill, Jamila, Sainabo, Medusa, that young FKA. And a reminder that we matter, are worthy, important, and most importantly, loved. We love and somehow find hope again, home again. Don't let the hype fool you. Once upon a time, Black women lifted each other up. And we lived, honey. We thrived. Thank you so much. My name is Yasmin Monet Watkins.
So I just want to draw a little thread from Jasmine. I can't be okay if you're not okay. I need to make sure your needs are met. Ira, there's a way that the system works, but it doesn't mean that system works for everybody. Yasmin, it's 8:15. Our programs say we're supposed to be done 15 minutes ago. But I just want to invite us to consider that this moment is a microcosm for exactly what we're here to investigate. Not everything happens on the schedule that we set for it. And part of being part of a community of care is making space for the things that need to be explored and felt and experienced and shared. So we're going to ask you for a little more time. And we're going to spend it together. And we're going to be present. And we're all going to be transformed even more than we have already been. And I am going to be grateful, and I hope you're going to be grateful with me. So I want to invite our colleague Mazen to the stage. Come on up, Mazen.
Hello, everyone. Say thank you for everyone who's come up onto the stage and moved me so deeply. I think I'm not the only one who feels moved so deeply. It reminds me, yeah, make some noise for all the people who've come up here, goodness. Just the medicine I needed. And it reminds me the first time I came to a Reimagine event many years ago. And I was like, wait, we can talk about this? We can sing about this? We can cry about this? This is okay? And I'm so grateful. And I, like many people in this room, have a story of loss, and a story of how that loss was a door, a gateway, a window, an opening into life, into really living. I was 15, and I got to spend the last 6 months of my mom's life with her in a hospital room. Not the ideal space, but I got to be there and witness someone facing the end of this journey, and to show up to that end of this journey with such a powerful, beautiful presence. And it really shaped me. And I think, I don't know about any of y'all, but you ever been on the wrong path, and then someone leaves, and then it wakes you up, and you're like, oh, I need to get back on the right path. I'm mortal. You know, like Leon was mentioning this earlier, like we're not going to be here forever. And the things that were being shared on the stage today, what it made me reflect on is how all of us are grieving the loss of people we love, and all of us are grieving the loss of who we are. What I mean by that is there's no one in this room and very few people in this world who haven't felt a loss of a connection to their ancestors, a loss of a connection to their culture, a loss of connection to who they come from and where they come from and the land that they come from. Right? I want to acknowledge this is Chumash and Tongva land, right? And the loss of the history and the lineage. And the other thing that I'm grieving is the fact that, like, we're all family, but it feels like we're at war. And that's a loss too. That's a grief that we carry. Everyone in this country, we carry the grief of hundreds of years of evil that we're born into. And just like we don't know how to talk about and grieve the loss of the people that we love, we don't know how to talk about and grieve the loss of humanity that we experience every day. The feeling of being lost and not having a sense of belonging and a sense of purpose. So the question that guides me, because it's how my mom lived, you know, she lived with such a purposeful, even until the very last, she couldn't speak, she couldn't move, she had a breathing tube, but even with her eyes, she was just like, I see you, I love you, I care, right? Every moment of her life, she was loving and seeing people and using her time here to contribute to others. And that's why I think in the very short amount of her time here, when she was gone, she was celebrated and loved and appreciated. And it makes me feel like I want to be loved and celebrated and appreciated in that way when my time comes. Don't we all? Don't we all? So I can definitely admit that after my mom's death and when I was old enough to understand what this thing called malpractice was and all the complications and the kind of haunting questions of, would that have gone differently if she had different skin? Would that have gone differently if the doctors knew how to connect across the cultures? Would that have gone differently if my family had generational knowledge of advocating for our family members in the healthcare system? I had a lot of fire and anger in me, and that's a valid emotion I had to learn. It is a valid emotion, but fire alone, I don't know if anyone else has ever burned themselves and burned the people around them trying to change the things that hurt them and hurt their family. A lot of the time I spent in movements, in activism, in social change, that's what it was. It was fire. It was this unsustainable energy of burning and burning until I'm burnt out, and I burnt my family, and I burnt my friends, and I'm burning each other. So the questions that I want to invite as well this weekend is, how do we want to show up, and how do we want to be as we are doing the work of changing these systems, as we are doing the work of creating equity in healthcare? How do we want to show up? Because we're not going to live to see all the outcomes of the work that we do. This is a many-generation project, just like it took many generations to get here. So that's what I hope to contribute, some skills, some tools, some practices for those of us that are going to be together this weekend for the workshop. And I want to share one last thing with you all, which is a song. This song came to me, my mama, She sends me songs every once in a while, and it came to me around the time that George Floyd was murdered on national television, and we are all, as a country, like confused and not knowing how to respond. And some people, of course, had systemic responses. I don't want to say no one knew how to respond, but I didn't know how to respond. But all I knew was, you know, we've been changing laws and systems and advocating for structure and canceling this and that, but why are our hearts still in the same place? So this song is called Final Frontier, and it's a song of me reckoning that before I can be who I want to be and change the systems the way I want to see, I have to do the inner work. We hit that, DJ? That's the cue. You need me to unlock the phone or something? What's going on? I can't see because the lights brighten me. The suspense builds. I just pose while I wait. Should I come over there? You got it? I'm gonna give it like 30 more seconds and I'll go a cappella. It's right there. Like we did the sound check and everything. Like, there it is. So much. Can we hit that from the beginning? Turn it up a little bit. I don't know where it is in the song. So. You know. There we go. I've been spending so much time looking at these messed up things in my mind. It seems like every evil I find, I can see reflections of here inside. How many laws have we changed? But still things feel the same. All these structures outside rearranged, but the structures inside remain. What if the only real evil is fear? And now the heart is the final frontier. We know how to structure things, that much is clear. Heart is the final frontier. We know how to structure things, that much is clear. And now the heart is the final frontier. I'm trying to be a good activist with my folks, but these insecurities ain't no joke. Sometimes I work my ass right off just to show. Oh, I ain't one of them, not me. I'm woke. I'm out here trying to change up things with my fam, and I'm following instructions that I read off Instagram. Catch me mistaken? Who? Me? I'll be damned. 'Cause I'll get my ass canceled if they catch me on the cam. So I gotta sing. We can all agree something needs to change. Can't make something new, but just doing more the same. So we're trying to clean up this mess that's been here before we were born. But are we really about change? Or are we just trying to perform? So we're changing laws, but if we ain't changing minds, we ain't changing hearts, then what the hell we expecting to find? So I do this for us, and I do it by any means. that means is love, then we can all be free. What if the only real evil is fear? And now the heart is the final frontier. We learn how to cancel things, yeah, that much is clear. But now the heart is the final frontier. What if the only real evil is fear? And now the heart is the final frontier. We know how to structure things, yes, that much is clear. The heart is the final frontier. We all sing with me like this. Ooh, ooh. Yeah, again, that sounds beautiful. Appreciate y'all.
Oh my goodness, Maslin is tall. So we are nearing the end. We're almost there. Where's Brad? Come on, Brad. So before Medusa and Mama Nene come up and give us an outro flow, I think it's something so special about being sent out how we were brought in. It's going to be really beautiful. I'm going to turn it over to Brad, who's the executive director of Reimagine, as most of you know, to give us some closing thanks.
Check, check. Oh, I don't want you to leave. Okay, don't go anywhere. All right. We do this together. So first of all, how about a round of applause for Misha Brown? And really all of the people that have helped make this possible. Is it Michael? Is that your, I can't see you. The sound man, Michael, the sound man who's been on it all night long. You know, Reimagine, we have really put a lot of heart and energy into making this possible this weekend. And part of what that means is giving back to this community that is so warmly welcoming us into your space. And that meant that we also have a local team of producers who have arranged the festival. And our job at Reimagine has been to support those folks in making this happen in the vision that feels right for the community. And so it's been wonderful to be supportive both with our energy, but also with the funding that has happened. We've been able to put a lot of it back into the community, and that's something we feel really strongly about. And so I want to just let you know that as you leave here this evening, there is a box in the other room for this theater, the Barbara Morrison Theater. And if you felt in your hearts it made sense for you to kind of keep the legacy of this space alive, it would mean a lot, I think, to everybody who's been on the stage if you could give a little something to this theater. And then, yes, thank you. And that is really the beginning of the work that we hope to continue being partners and supporters for the people that we have gotten to know here. And hopefully by the end of our time together, you too, if you're not from here, will know the people that are here and the hearts that they have. And we'll bask in this greatness of learning together. And so that means that a little agenda setting about where we're going to head from here. Right after this show, and Mama and Nene can maybe share more, or Medusa, but there is another show taking place here, a community open mic. Now, everyone I know is hungry, has to go. You can go get food, go to sleep, because we have a big day tomorrow. But if you want to come jam out with the local members of this community and an open mic about loss, life, and love, you can come back here and we'll play some music all together and do some other things here on this stage. And anyone, I think, it's an open mic,
Brad,
so you yourself, yes.
Just tell them you're performing and you want them to come back and see
That's
you.
not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying, but that could happen. I did bring my guitar. It's hidden in the back. So we have that coming up right after this. Tomorrow morning, for those of you who are going to be part of the training. It starts at 9 a.m., but breakfast is at 8:15, and that is basically right here, just right down the street, like literally half a block away. And so we'll see you there bright and early for breakfast and a great day all together. We're going to do community workshops, and if you're watching online, you're also going to get to be part of zooming in to the community and participating in workshops that are taking place throughout the neighborhood tomorrow on these topics. Saturday, for those of you who are part of the CTAC training, we're going to come back together at 9 a.m. again that day for a half day, and then we're going to all make our way down to the main stage in the community at noon. And Mama Nene may or may not be part of that, but I'm pretty sure she will be, because she has also made the altar that we're going to all be, the presence of which we're going to be blessed by. Her and other folks in the community are building a physical altar in front of this main stage, and you're going to get a chance to hear from so many voices from this community, all coming together to make music for each other and for all of us to honor their ancestors from noon till 6, and then a comic show is the after party on Saturday night. So it's going to be an action-packed time together of learning, growth, music, celebration, loss, love, all the things that you've only tasted so far this evening. And so we can't wait for that to happen. And now I just want to acknowledge those that helped make this possible, because without the funding that we had to make this a reality, we could not be here tonight supporting this community, working together, dedicating our time and energy. So there's three major funders that supported this effort, and I want to acknowledge them on the stage this evening. Really, the first is the Harmon Foundation. Julie Boudreau had a vision with her and her team to make that possible. I also want to thank Ira Byock and Providence Health System, who have a vision, and you could hear from Ira. I really appreciate what you shared, and you contributed mightily to make this a reality. And then finally, there's an organization called the Plum Foundation, which it turns out my aunt and uncle are part of the board of that foundation. I don't want to call them out by name, but Janet and Bob, I'm going to do it because you're here, and they. My uncle is a physician in Los Angeles, and he took care of somebody until they died, and that person then appointed him to be on the board of her foundation. And so part of the work that they did is to give money to our organization. The Plum Foundation is what they're called, and they gave some money to Reimagine over the last couple years, not knowing what we were going to do, but to put this thing together. So thank you to the Plum Foundation. And so really, we know it's going to require a lot more. We're just getting started. We're just building the relationships in this community. And what we didn't talk about is the way in which we've heard from Ben and Mama Nene and so many people we've talked to here about what often happens in partnership. People come in and they go out. And that's not what we're about. We don't want to be about that here. We want to be building something long-term and sustainable with the community. And that's going to take all of us and a lot more of us and a lot more people we know to stay present. And so the main invitation that I have for you is not to contribute money right now, but over the next 3 days, just to pay attention and notice what comes up for you. Be present in the community. Notice what you feel. If you're from the community, notice what it feels like to have those of us here trying to learn with and from you. And we're going to just uncover a lot together. And if we can stay present, I'm confident that a lot of good is going to come out of our time. And so as I wrap up here, you know, what was coming up for me as I listened this evening to all these incredible speakers is just this idea of ancestry. And, you know, with my uncle and aunt here, and also my dad flew down from San Francisco to be here tonight, which means so much to me, because my grandmother is 101 years old, and she is a survivor of Auschwitz, the concentration camp, and she is at the end of her life. My grandfather, who's passed away, was also an Auschwitz survivor, and only through this work at Reimagine, through this festival, have I started to dig more deeply into what his experience was like because of my connection with the people in Leimert Park, and discovered really that his job was what's called a Sonderkommando. That meant his job, I just found this out 2 weeks ago, was to build the crematoriums and then bury the bodies and burn the bodies, hundreds and hundreds of bodies. And so I see the connection to this work and all the pain that exists in the world and the way that we treat each other. And that's why I love what Mazen's sharing about where we can head as a people. But I also, through my grandparents' lives, see how they've still managed to survive and live and with love. And when I look at Leimert Park, I see all that creativity, all that beauty, all that blossoming that has come out of all that pain. And so it's still a challenge, but there's some hope there. And when I think about my grandfather, Elliot, something that came up for me here is we didn't have a chance together to share the names of the people we've all been holding in our hearts during this time. And so I just talked to Mama Nene 1 second ago, and I said, I don't know, I feel like we should just, how do you feel about us having space to share the names of those we've lost? And I know that, in the Jewish religion, we have a way to do it, but I also have heard that there's a way in the African American tradition to allow us to share the names in spaces like this. And so I want to have Medusa and Mama Nene come back here and close it out for all of you all this evening, and help us hold space to perhaps share the names that are in our heart and also feel the joy of what it means to be alive. So thank you very much.
So I hope as you all stay here in Leimert Park for the rest of the couple of days, it's nighttime. In the daytime, you're going to see something different. You're going to see a community of people that have been forgotten about and discarded. You're going to see a community of artists that have great talent, but maybe it just wasn't what they said wasn't their time. You're going to see a community of people making a living, selling things. You're going to see a community of someone that's on drugs or maybe out of their mind. You'll see a community of a very intelligent chess player, or someone that authors a book, or someone that you knew and you recognized from a movie. You'll see everyone, the lawyer, the doctor, the Indian chief, but we all have ancestors. This community is rich with the ancestors that held space. So in African tradition, I don't want to appropriate our culture. We pour water for libation. We face the 4 destinations, and then we add bottom and top as well, so that makes it 4. But tonight, for you all, we just want to take a little time to remember those ancestors, the reason why you are here today, each and every one of us. So, if you can't stand, I'm going to ask you to stand up. You know you want to stand up anyway. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. Yes, yes. And in the church, we say, look at your neighbor. Say, neighbor! Do you feel all right? Look on your other side and say, neighbor! Do you feel all right? Well, we're going to call on our ancestors. And at the count of 3, I just want you to lose your mind thinking about mama and papa and the auntie, your sister or your brother, your teacher, a great musician. I like to say Billie Holiday's name several times. I love her. So at the count of 3, let's go in. 1, 2, 3. Shout out them ancestors. Eugene Smith, Mamie Irene Smith, Ronnie Dean Smith. I don't hear y'all. Hold on. No. You in the village now. This is a village. When the village, we sing together, pray together, we work together. Come on now, y'all got ancestors. You didn't get here by yourself. On the count of 3, let me hear some ancestor names. 1, 2, 3. Yes. 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 Ronnie Smith. Miles Davis. All right. I know y'all got more ancestors than that, but that's okay. I got some for you Saturday. You in the African village now, baby. You better get like the natives. Because look, you here with us now. It was your choice. You came here. And you stayed. Ladies and gentlemen, Medusa. Oh, yeah. Ooh, oh, yeah. Come on. Oh, yeah. Hey. Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Medusa. I know
you come up in here broken, but I'm hoping I got your heart open. Is your heart open? Is your heart open? I know you came here broken, but we done got you open. Now tell me, is your heart open? Is your heart open? There ain't nothing better than feeling this here rhythm from Mama Nene to get your heart open. Is your heart open? If you're gonna say a love's name or ancestor's name, you got to say it with your heart open. I know you came up in here broken, but is your heart open? Is your heart open? Say a family's name, say the loved one's name, say the loved one's name. Durf.
Durf Redclaw.
Come on.
Barbara Morrison.
Richard.
50
Hi.
dig, baby. It don't get no better than that.
It don't. Hattietta Calhoun, I just lost you. I love you so much.
Lady Walker, Ben Vereen's sister, y'all. She had a dance studio right next door, right around the corner.
Barbara Morrison, we are here in your space, in your heart space.
Billy Higgins, the world's most recorded drummer. My Baba.
Ollie Mae McDaniels, my great-great-grandmother that came over here in a horse and carriage from Oklahoma. Odessa May. We had names like Barbara Jean and Odessa May.
Odessa.
Say your loved one's name. When you remember it, say the name.
Barbara May.
Yes.
Little Willie.
Lawrence.
Robert Neal.
Lawrence Abrams.
Ancestors.
Say the name. 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 Say the name of your people like they count. Say the name. Say the name. Say the name. Say the name of your ancestors like it count. Damn it, say the name. Say the name.
Say the name. Say the name.
Come on, if you love your ancestors, I want you to
say the name.
Say the name. Yes, Daddy. You have said so many names. I want to come touch your heart real quick. Hold on.
Say the name. Say the name. By the rivers of Bethlehem.
I kept hearing this man say names. Yasmin, I love you for giving space. Your people are in here right now. They are so proud of you. The universe is so proud of you, Mama. Know that. Say the name.
Be proud.
If you love your ancestors, if you love your ancestors, say the name.
Say the name.
Yes, indeed. I truly love my ancestors. I say the name. Yes, you heard it. Don't forget Isaac Hayes. Okay? Let's not forget those folks that gave us music to make you want to say the name. You remember? Give me another one. Yes. 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 Thank you. Yes. Come on. Come on. Yes. Ray Charles. Yes. Say the name. The Marvin
Hold your
Gaye.
hands up.
Minnie
Hold your hands
Riperton.
over your head. Hold your
Yes.
hands up.
Your ancestors
Hold your hands
used
in
to
the air.
Say the
Hold
name.
your hands up.
If you say the
Hold your
name,
hands in the air.
they will
Hold your
appear
hands
in
up.
this space if you say the name. If you holding up their grace, say the name. Say the name. Prince. Ella Fitzgerald. Etta James. the name. Whitney, ooh.
Say the name.
Say the name. God, raise your soul. God, I don't
Nipsey
want them to
Hussle.
rest.
Nipsey
I
Hussle.
want you to raise their soul.
Good friend.
When we say the name,
Willie Morrow.
say the names.
Mama Laura.
It
from
means
Basil Bay.
everything to the universe. Just say the name. I don't care how you came. If you's a broken man, put your hands in the air one time and just say the name.
Catch the wave when you say the name. Catch the wave
And just
when
say
you
the
say the
name.
name.
Got an
Energy all
ocean of
in the
love
air.
in you.
Raise your hand like you care.
And say
Say
the
the
name.
name.
Say the name. I'm gonna do this for my brothers and sisters and the misters that love. Just say the name.
Surrender. Surrender to love. Surrender to life. Surrender to loss. Because when you lose, you find. When you find, you lose. It's a cycle that we almost bear. Say the name. Somebody gonna say your name one day. I hope they say my name. Say the name. Catch the wave.
If
Say the
you love
name.
yourself and each other, just say the names. Thank you. I love you, Mama Nana.
I just want to encourage you that if you really want to feel the spirit of Lamert, that's what's getting ready to happen with these artists that are independent artists that are going to be here performing. We actually have one who happens to be my son. His name is Billionaire Carter. He is a YouTube influencer, all on his own energy, his own money, finances, has over 1 million views with 2 of his videos that he's created. So, there's so much talent that comes out of Lamert Park, and my son came through here learning how to play the drums, music, all that. So I want to make sure that you guys know that it's going to be something very special, right? So I want to make sure that I say that before you guys just all run away and go, because I know we've been here. It's been a long day, but there is a treat that's waiting you in a few moments.
All right. That is a wrap, good people. We'll see you at the open mic, and we'll see you tomorrow. Let's give a blessing with our hands to everybody that was on the stage tonight. Thank you, and good night.